So we're capturing leads today with open houses, and we're gonna go over the benefits of an open house, some of the best practices, and look and prepare to prospect and pursue the model of it. So we're just gonna start thinking about it. Hopefully everyone has done an open house before, and if not, can you let me know? Okay, so I'm gonna run on
Did you
this.
say, sorry, did you say, let you know what?
If you've ever done an open house before.
Oh, nope, I haven't done one.
Okay.
Might be,
Uh,
you might need to.
oh, yeah, maybe. So that's good then. You're gonna learn lots from this today and how to do one and just how to capture the leads of it, which is what we're really doing when we go to these open houses. I mean, yes, benefit, try and sell the home, but your your chances of it usually are quite slim, unfortunately, but it does get us the leads out of it. So we're going to capture leads from open houses. We're going to figure out the best practices, prepare a prospect, and we'll do a recap and daily success of our systems. So here. So does anyone here know the benefits of doing an open house?
Capture.
Yeah, we capture.
But first and foremost, you're there to sell the seller's house.
That's right. That's right, Ellen. You're here to sell the seller's house. So the main thing to remember is you need to know everything about that house. That's going to show your value when they're asking you questions.
So into that end, Maureen, when you're showing the house, there's potential buyers there, but there also could be sellers because they have to sell something to buy something. And now it showcases to them how you would be selling their home.
That's right. You're showing more value to them. That's exactly right, Sherry. Thanks. So let's see here. Give me 1 second here. I think my papers went over. Good. All right. So they're telling me, because this is all tells me what to do, it's telling you guys all kind of get together for 3 minutes and have a conversation of questions you'd like to learn about today. So just think about what you'd like to learn and what hopefully I can help bring to the table for you. And you can make sure you jot some notes down and everything as we're going. Right. Guys, you're gonna have to bear with me because this is all new. Right. So that's what we're going over. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have, which is totally true, and converting the leads and making sure that every time you do talk to someone, you're putting it in your database, because that's the only way to track them. So dispel the limiting beliefs. I don't have a listing to hold an open house. I don't have signs yet or cards. I may not know the answers to the questions the visitors have. Open houses don't really work because most people look online. I won't feel safe. Valid, but not valid. So first one, I don't have a listing to hold and open. So how do we fix that?
You get your colleagues to allow you to do that open house for them.
Exactly how they thank you. Yeah, you see them on there on Facebook just saying, hey, who would like to have an open house, who has listings that would like to have, because usually single agents, if they're been in it for a while, probably aren't holding the open houses anymore. So they've got listings normally, and especially for new agents, it's a great way to grab leads. So yes, exactly.
I still after all these years love doing open houses. That's just my thing. I like it a lot.
Because you're a social being.
That's correct.
Yeah, but it's a great way, isn't it, Holly? You probably grab quite a few leads off of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't have signs. We have
Buyers
signs.
and, sorry, Maureen, buyers and sellers. So somebody was mentioning earlier about, you're not just, showcasing, I mean, obviously you're to, showcase the seller's house, but, and, capture some leads for buyers, but also very important. I got sellers from open houses too, because they are coming, and you've heard this before, they're coming to kind of interview you, but not interview you. Say, oh, okay, let's see what this agent's got. And
Yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have signs yet. Well, if it's for an open house sign, there's generic ones here, I believe, just the Keller Williams signs we can always borrow. And signs don't take that long to print up, so. And you may not know the answers to questions visitors have. Well, that means doing your research ahead of time. Looking at that cut sheet, talking to that listing agent if it's not, your team's listings or what have you, and you don't know, you research it, you find it, and you make yourself the number one professional to answer all those questions for them.
And I go preview the house a few days before. So if this opens on Sunday at 2, go view the house Friday afternoon, just book a viewing by yourself, walk around, learn it.
And know where the light switches are and things like that, just having everything and getting a feel for the house. Like, so if it's a vacant property, you end up, doing one for, you're gonna want to, probably bring a chair with you in case it's quiet. That may have happened this weekend to one of my teammates. But yeah, so, be prepared. And then if you do preview the house and it is vacant or whatever, you may want to bring something, whether it be, a couple of vases of fresh flowers, just something to liven up the spring. You want to kind of bring that spring vibe. Maybe bring some cookies, candies, like things like that, drinks, all kinds of little things to kind of lure people in. And they do work. They do work. And as for feeling safe, we'll cover that as well, but that's going to be on a buddy system. Okay, capturing leads for open house. That, perfect. Okay, should every open house be held open? Under what circumstances would you not recommend holding an open house? Anyone know?
COVID.
That was a great one. If the sellers specifically say they don't want one, not everybody wants a bunch of people to their house, even though they're on the market. And it can get, if it's really, really busy, it's hard to control if there's only one agent there and you've got a ton.
Yeah.
One of my
That's true.
weekends, we had, God knows how many through, it was probably at least 10 couples that went through it, which is a strong open house in 2 hours. Some sellers are not agreeable to decluttering, cleaning up, sanitizing, so that the host does not show well. That's a great reason not to showcase a host if it's not going to showcase well. When it's not necessary to show, for example, in the seller's market, when there are immediate multiple offers or houses are being bought on scene.
Right.
During COVID.
I feel like if your seller also is like on the high end, most high end things, the seller's not gonna want to open regardless.
Yeah.
But feel like they're have a lot of high end decor, personal belongings, etc. I would probably just avoid doing it.
Yeah, that or you do need to have more of a buddy system. If the home is larger, definitely you'd want to make sure you had a whole team there. Honestly, it wouldn't be just one agent. That way they could be kind of tag team throughout the house, make sure nothing is getting, you gotta protect your clients. That's the main thing, right?
And don't let the kids jump on the couch.
True. Very true. So as a new agent, open houses are easy, fun, and a low-cost way to find buyers. Your goal in holding an open house is not only to sell the home, is not to put yourself in the, it is to put yourself in the path of opportunity, the business opportunity to meet people, add to your database and set up appointments, especially with interested buyers. For many agents, holding open houses is their number one strategy to build a strong business, and it can be yours too. So it's really important about engaging conversation, because again, you're being interviewed. Trying to think, I guess you got to think about it that way, but trying to be nervous because that's what you're doing. But you'll naturally become well at it by one, being confident in knowing the product you are selling. And then that's how the rest will just come smoothly. You know, make sure you're smiling, make sure you're open to everybody to talk to you, and you know, be receptive. So obviously the benefits to a seller is to showcase their house and hopefully sell it, but the buyers, the neighborhood, that's another portion. Visit the open house ahead of time, or visit the neighborhood ahead of time, earlier in the week. Knock on doors, pass them a flyer, let them know you're going to do one. Yes, we always worry that it's the nosy neighbor coming to view the properties, but honestly, they can spread the word or know another neighbor or themselves that we're same thing. How you're going to run it in our neighborhood? How well do you know our neighborhood? That's another huge portion. Know the neighborhood. So when they ask all the questions where, you know, the children have extracurricular activities for hockey and, you know, sports and all that kind of good stuff, you've got to know everything you can about it. So I guess on day one, you were introduced to the 6 personal perspectives, specifically remove your limiting beliefs. You may have still some limiting, you know, beliefs about open houses. Today, we're going to break through those and dispel them. Does anyone here have any limiting, you know, beliefs?
Nope, I think they're great.
Good. Yeah, I like that, Holly. I'm glad you're on here to say that too, because for those that are kind of, you know, on the fence about them or how it goes, you know.
Yeah, they're good. I like them. I mean, here's the other thing, and I think we spoke about this in another topic or something. I don't know, but sometimes people, when they walk into your open house, one of the things that you don't want to do is grab them right away and say, I want your info, I want your info, I want your info. You really need to, especially in, you know, HRM, Nova Scotia, you just kind of let them do their thing and then engage them and then try to get that information by asking them to, you know, fill out a feedback form or something like that, right? And they get talking to you. So it's,
Yeah.
it's easy.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Holly, we kind of do it the opposite way. I mean, we don't bombard like they come in or what have you, but we have a sign up sheet. A good little trick of the trade that we're finding is working too is having like a little draw, like a basket, or bring it on. Doesn't have to be just for that specific open house. So we did one for Valentine's. So we did a few open houses, collected those, but they also wrote it on a sign up sheet. We asked for names and email addresses, but we also, which is a big thing to ask, you have an agent. Are you with an agent? Because we don't want those. They can still sign on the sheet, and we also put an A for agent next to them. And if they're not, then we know we can go after those leads because we're not poaching leads.
Right, right.
We want to ensure there's no high pressure, because that's the last thing they want. They want to come through, look at the house with open pressure. Sometimes they choose to come with their own agent, just not to have anything. They just kind of want to go through. You definitely will still get some buyers that may not even have an agent and will lie to you. And you kind of
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Try and see if that, you know, you can.
Asking who.
Yeah, ask them who. That's always the deer in the headlights. Who's your agent? It's a friend.
What's your friend saying?
Yeah, what's your friend saying? But I know them.
Yeah.
So, you know, but usually if you can just kind of keep it into a friendly little, you know, conversation, they may say, okay, well, yeah, I'm not signed with anyone yet. Well, you know, then let's have a chat. You know, if you're not poaching them, they're not signed. And that's what you're there for. And it's a high return on your investment by doing an open house, because really there's no cost to you other than your time, your couple of hours that you're putting in. So any leads that you can try and prospectively turn over, is amazing at no cost to you.
I mean, at least they're like warm leads.
Yeah, they're warm because they're obviously interested. They come to the house. They have some idea. Something else we're starting to incorporate in our own open houses, we're bringing in mortgage brokers. There's lots of newbies out there as well in that field, and they're looking to do the same thing. So I've got them, they call me now and say, hey, can I get into your open house? And you can use other ones, you can use inspectors, things like that. Just more value for them. So yeah, they're buyers. Most of them are new buyers, I think, depending on your price point. So you're gonna want to, you know, kind of bring all that to the table if you can. Plus then that limits you from feeling unsafe if you brought someone. So that's a smart thing to do, is to try and bring another, you know, referral partner with you. So ahas so far? Come on, my teammates, I have my teammates here. I expect you to participate.
I mean, not directly.
Bring in the inspectors and bring in mortgage brokers and things like that. Limiting belief, I'm gonna say, before I became a real estate agent, I wouldn't let anybody do an open house for me, because I felt that you know, the perception of it is that you're there to get the buyers and not actually sell my house that day. So that's me as being a client. So I do still think that that's a pretty common thought. So how do you get around? How do you get around that as a script, I guess?
You know what I say to my clients with regards to an open house, and I think this is true to some respect, is that before people will pick up the phone to call a real estate agent, if they see a house and it's having an open house, sometimes they're more apt to walk through that house with no pressure of an agent, their agent, say, to go look at that neighborhood and look at that house before they pick up the phone and call a real estate agent to go show them that house, because you understand? So it's easier for them to go to an open house to have a look to see if they're interested at all before they pick up the phone and call an agent to say, let me.
Yeah.
That's how
And that's kind of how I get around if somebody doesn't want to do an open house, or they say, well, you know, what's really the benefit of the open house? And it's to as many people that get through this house is the best thing.
Yeah, and talk about it and to highlight it. And you know what? We're not in that same last 3 years and the multiple offers. Yes, we are still getting some, and you're playing the field right to make that happen. But for the rest of us that are kind of putting a, you know, expectation price on our properties and such, yeah, chances are we can even double end it. So who's going to know better than the listing agent to highlight everything? Because if you're taking listing, you're the one that's really pumped about that house.
it's actually hilarious how different you feel in an open when it's your listing.
Yes,
Like,
yeah,
I just feel like I run the whole. Like,
exactly. You're the boss of it,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, yeah, that's what you're there for, right?
likely.
You're not the boss of me.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you're gonna tell your clients, then it's like, you know, who better to sell your house than myself or my team, depending if you have a team or not, you know, we're the ones that know it, we're the ones that want to get it sold, that's what we're here for. So I mean, yes, there is, yes, we could pick up buyers out of it, yes, we could, it could be the buyer that's gonna buy your house, we don't know that, right? So you just sort of gotta tell them, and you know, though you're never gonna change anyone's mind sometimes if that's just how they feel, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you're gonna try your best, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And you know, that you're selling, you're using you're your best advantage to selling it. 'Cause you know
Maureen,
it.
can I just weigh in? I did an open house
Yeah.
then too in the last little bit for other people, and just to touch on inviting the neighbors. So it's so very valuable. The one I did yesterday, 2 of the neighbors came. One of them who's actually, if you're an old fogey like me and you like hockey, you know who Mike Bossy is. It was his brother. But anyway, he came in and
Oh, cool.
yeah, and when I left, I did it for Vicky, and I said, she's like, was there anyone that seemed more interested? I'm like, there was one couple, definitely. And they stood in the dining room talking to this man, I'm going to tell you, for 15 minutes. And he's like, great neighborhood, lovely, lovely, just beautiful. Like, and so to have them come in and share and show how friendly the neighborhood is. That was great. The other thing is when I'm going out inviting the neighbors, if they are thinking of selling and they don't have a realtor, they see me as the girl that's going to hustle to try very hard to sell their house. And I even say that. I mean, you fake it till you make it. I've had 2 listings in my career, but I say, people will want to list with me because I come out here in the rain and invite people to try to help sell their house, and they laugh, right? So,
But it's showing the effort you're putting. They don't want the perception of us is basically we're just collecting all kinds of money and doing nothing for it, right? So, we're, and the prep time is not just, the 2 hours of standing in the open house and talking. It's, it's getting the signs ahead of time. And I tie balloons to my boards, like they're floating gold balloons. Like, so in case you can't see the sign down low, there's a couple balloons floating up there too. It'll catch the eye, right? And lead them into your open house. So that's one of my tricks too. But yeah, rain or shine, doesn't matter what the weather's like, you're gonna do it. Does anyone else have any ahas or questions before we move on?
For me, it's just like, people are more scared of you than you are of them. As soon as you get that in your head, then you can actually, get down to people's level. Like there was a girl yesterday that I really feel like I connected with. She was like, I don't call, I don't email, do you text? And she was almost scared to ask me that. I was like, of course.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, however you want to be
That's
contacted.
what I prefer.
Yeah.
Talking to the millennial, yes, no problem. Texting is gonna be perfect for us. That's great, right?
Yeah, it was great.
So, and she's already engaged that she wants you to, because she's saying is text okay. So, if you kind of give them that, you're not putting pressure on them. And sometimes we won't even tell them we're gonna follow up. We just sort of put them on there and I'm sure they're going, uh-oh. And we say it's a safety thing, and then you follow up and say, hey, and again, the big thing is making sure if someone's really adamant that they have an agent, we do not touch them. That's, don't bother with them. It is what it is.
And like for me with the sign-in sheet, especially yesterday, it didn't capture as many people as I wanted to. Because I did make it feel like if you're comfortable, I'd love to have you sign in just so we know,
Right,
who's been here today.
And not everyone did. That's the first time, because I think anytime we've done open houses, we've had everyone sign.
It's been the first thing I've done.
Yeah,
But yeah, yesterday. was-
Did you do the little girl thing?
I didn't yesterday.
Okay.
It
All right.
was out of control.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, right, when they're busy like that, so. Should have someone with you as a referral partner as well.
can I just
Sorry.
make a comment? Sorry,
Yes.
about the
Go for it.
sign-in sheet. Just a little feedback on the sign-in sheet. So I've been doing sign-in sheets, and I started my career about 2 years ago. So it was COVID. So I was like, I loved it because I said, for COVID, just in case for tracing, would you mind signing in? And it was my, and they felt they had to. I was like, cool. And
Yeah.
then the one I did yesterday, the realtor who's listing it she suggested, well, she wanted feedback. So I made up a little feedback form instead, and no. I'm going to separate them next time. I want feedback, of course,
Yeah.
but I found that people were less likely to provide absolutely anything if I asked for feedback. They're like, no. I mean, I think I had 4 people sign the feedback and there was 20 people there. And normally with my sign-in sheet, everybody signs it. So I'm going to have to tweak that. I don't know if anyone else has any feedback on that.
That's interesting.
I actually, when I have a feedback form too, and it has questions, what did you think of the house, price, blah, blah, blah. And I put everything on it. Are you working with a realtor? Whatever. And I have little bags of candy with my card attached. And when they come in the house, I say, feel free to have a look around. I'll answer any questions you have. And I'd really appreciate some feedback at the end. So I've already given them the idea that I'm going to ask for feedback. And then when they're finished, on the kitchen counter, I have my feedback forms and the basket of candy. And I say, okay, so if you wouldn't mind, seller would really appreciate some honest feedback. And then I let them fill out that form 9 times out of 10, or maybe 8 times out of 10, I get all the information. And then I give them a little bag of candy and they're right happy and they go away.
Yeah, everything is kind of like carrot in front of the horse, honestly. You gotta kind of lure them in, just, it makes them more comfortable too. We do custom cookies, so we've got the nice cookies all done up as Ferguson Home Sales. There's welcome with a little door, there's sold signs, like, that can be costly, I mean, you know, but at the end of the day, they like that little bit of extra special. And then it's something for them to take away too, that
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, maybe my card ends up in the garbage, I don't know, but they'll eat the candy, and the card is like with a ribbon, so they have to take the card off before they can get to the candy. So, you know, hopefully they'll put that in their pocket and
Yeah,
sometimes I'll say something like, you know, just remember the girl with the candy, okay? Or, you know, whatever, depends on the personality of the person too.
The creepy guy. Somehow it's still.
I know, that's what I mean. It depends on the person before, if I.
Definitely does. So, okay, best practices, picking the house is the main thing. Yeah, so. If you have lots to choose from, I guess you can choose the house to highlight for the weekend. Or, you know, if you're a single agent looking from someone else's, it's who's ever out there that's gonna have it to do, but picking the house in the area that will also pick you up the most leads, so. And it's hard to tell right now because we've been out of open houses for so long as well. You know, I had two going this weekend, gone by, and like I said, one was just in Lawrencetown. That one went crazy, and then had another one down in East Shador, which was dead as an end. So, you know, you just can't, you know, we advertise them both the same, it just who's looking, who's not. And right now, the Lawrencetown one is a very popular listing for viewing. Can't get it sold, so keep dropping the price. So it's been a little bit of a frustration, but we keep pushing them through. We want the clients to know that we are doing our absolute best to try and get it sold, and that's the main thing, right? So, you know, look for a great and visible location. And they're saying not more than 3 turns from a major road. So to find them, so you don't want to be too far back in where they say break this. I'm not going there today. It's, you know, it's not where I want to be. So explain the person. Okay. Once you've chosen the house, you do need to get familiar with the neighborhood, like I said. So you're going to want to know where the closest shopping centers are, grocery stores, architecture, coffee shops, all that good stuff, right? Anything. And again, for your children, the children that are going to be probably moving into these homes, what's the value for them? You know, the good schools, you know, the rec centers, the type of sports that are all available. Here. So, and to prepare yourself, think about the house you're gonna be showing. You should always be thinking for the buyers coming in, the kind of questions they may ask. That's another one. So you're kind of prepared, you know, whether it's about the type of foundation, you know, how it's heated, just things like that. And if they have any special details, like kind of like the like a music system being all in there, like those kind of things, if there are any techie things you'd want to know, if there's smart heating, things like that, so you can kind of portray all that wonderful stuff to them. And things like, you know, if there was any renos done, you want to be able to talk about, you know, when was the roof last done, or, you know, they had new windows put in, or an update bathrooms, kitchens. Those are the kind of things you really want to hype up. And again, if you really want to try and get everyone to sign in at the beginning and just, you know, lock them out, whether they're going to be in, they have an agent or not. So the time you choose for the open house is important. When you know your market well, probably, who knows, here, these are all to do still with setting the goals. Okay, well, I think we're still here. There we go. So when you know your market well and have connected with it, picking the right time to host an open house should be simple. Open houses have been known to work in any market at all dates and times. So know your market in order to drive the most traffic through your open house. Picking the time for your open house goes hand in hand with picking the theme. if you're having your open house on Sunday afternoon during football season, know the game scores or have the game on the TV, which is pretty brilliant, actually. Has anyone here had any themes that they've used? Nope. And I'll tell you, we hosted one for the, what was the last big football thing? Because that's Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Let me
Such a
tell you.
football fan, I can tell.
I don't think it would have mattered too much because nobody was going through that day. They were all home prepared for their wings and nachos and nobody was coming to the open house that day. It was dead, wasn't it? So, but yeah, if it's leading up to, so let's say let's just say the Super Bowl was on Sunday, probably should have hosted the open house on a Saturday and pushed a Super Bowl theme on it. So but just things you learn as you go. You're not gonna get them all right and you're gonna figure it as you go. And again, little just little contests like, oh, we're gonna have a little, Valentine's contest. Everyone come be a draw or whatever. So things like that, anything to lure them in. And I always do mine, my open houses, I always run them on Sundays from 1 to 3. The typical are 2 to 4. So and if they're out trying to do a bunch of them and they have to drive and the travel time and all that, and they've only got 2 hours plus to view it. I figured if I staggered out from that, I get seen first, hopefully, from all the 2 o'clock showings. And hopefully I stick in their mind and, make an impact that way. I've just tried that strategy. I like the 1 to 3 and I've had lots of compliments that, oh, it's so great that you did this from 1 to 3. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you that. So you find that successful then, 1 to 3?
Yep, absolutely. Because it gets them back in the house too, like, so if they're getting prepared where it is a Sunday and let's just say it's family oriented, where we're thinking of, you gotta get home, you gotta make the supper, you gotta get them ready for school for Monday morning, and that's always hectic that time, blah, blah, blah. So just cutting it back a little earlier too. I just figured it puts me in front spot of that is how I'm trying. Like, I'm the least inconvenience to the buyers coming out to look as well. Plus, same with my owners of the home. I'm inconveniencing them less by being out of there by 3:15, and then they come back to their house hopefully and make their own suppers and stuff. So I just find it's a better timing, really. And Saturdays, kids got lots of activities going on, so I don't know if Saturdays are really that great to do them on. I don't know. Has anyone done them on Saturdays?
No, I haven't.
I've done them on Saturday and Sundays, depending on what the needs of my sellers are.
Okay.
So
How do
just
you find Saturdays, Sherry?
honestly, I found Sundays were better.
Okay.
People did seem to have less going on a Sunday. It just felt a little bit more relaxed. They were out walking or they were, kind of driving neighborhoods about where they wanted to live. Some of them just kind of happened upon them because they were checking out neighborhoods they wanted to move into. Others, they had seen it on social media, but I had a better response on a Sunday.
Yeah, and you're doing, I think on Sundays, you're right, they're more of a wind down, or Saturdays, you're running, getting your chores done, like outside the house, like your groceries and things like that, shopping. Maybe visiting, partying Saturday night, and then Sundays is kind of that wind down to get yourself prepared for the next week. So, you could be out raking grass or raking leaves. I mean, that's all coming up, prepping the house. And that'll be a lot of times when people are like, okay, I'm ready to sell, or I'm ready to leave here, or I'm tired of renting and doing all this work when I could have my own house, building my equity and doing these things. So I think lights come on Sunday, you have a little more brain power to go, yeah, it's a good time to go view homes and stuff.
Yeah, and actually, if I'll just add something to that, I've also discovered through doing it wrong that the best time to have an agent open house is probably a Wednesday or Thursday as opposed to the weekend.
Yeah, and we used to do that all the time, and when COVID hit, we unfortunately stopped it, and we used to all go, actually. We used to carpool, a bunch of us, it was a great social time.
Yeah, that was fun. I liked it.
Tuesdays at 10, yeah, exactly. Well, I got to know, and it was great for the new agents to go out and see what we had out on the market as well, and get familiar with areas. And that's another thing, we get into this, not everyone is. I know when I started, I didn't want to drive in Halifax. I didn't know anything. I was nervous Nelly driving anywhere. And I learned how to rely on GPS and and get me through. And of course, now it's like, it's nothing, right? But I used to, so I think that's all part of it, right? just getting used to everything and seeing all the homes and what have you. So I'm just trying to read what these, I have something, these are repetitive. Okay, so they're just saying basically as well, during an open house, have the visitors sign in upon arrival at the event. Some agents even make this a requirement, stating it is a safety measure, which is what we were just saying, right? How do we get them to do it? You can even ask them to leave something of value with you while they tour the home. Like their car keys, driver's license. Again, this is a safety measure. Explain to the participants that setting up, I'm explaining to you, that setting up a sign-in station allows them to capture leads they can follow on later.
Would you actually ask somebody to leave their car keys with you?
Oh.
No,
Would you, here's the other question, would you leave your car keys?
right, no.
That's what I'm
Just saying.
I don't leave my car keys or my purse or anything with anyone or a baby. And honestly, we just.
Yeah, leave your baby with me and I'll give it to you when
Not
you
even
leave.
joking. Alex just left the room, but Alex had that happen, a couple literally. And he couldn't do anything because they left him a baby while they viewed the house.
Oh my
And yeah, so how was he capturing leads? Because they couldn't walk around and show anyone else the house. So yeah, be careful.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're offering to hold for them while they're through. Yeah, I would never do that. So yeah, you pick and choose what makes you most comfortable. Safety feature, I mean, anyone can write anything down on the sign up sheet too. It's no different than the lead sites when people sign on and you're trying to capture leads that way and they put in a bogus email and phone number, but lots go 999-999-999-999, right? So, what you hope there when you have them face to face, majority of people have less incentive to lie to you for whatever reason.
So I have a question.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know if this was already said or if you guys were talking about. So when doing an open house, you have, if it's just yourself and whether you have one person come in, so I'll just start with one. Do you walk around or do you let them go on their own? And then I guess I want to know what your answer is to that one first.
well, yeah, homeowner will tell you how they want you probably to do it. I personally don't always follow them around. I greet them. And I just say, feel free to walk through, I stay central is my thing. Now, there's some personalities that need that. They need the hand holding walking through, but if it's only you and you're walking off with them and then someone else is coming in.
Right.
That.
Mhm.
So you kind of almost want to, I stay central. And if I can have a second body with me, then they may do the walking or vice versa, but we'll tag team. Yeah.
I kind of do that too, like kind of, I will highlight anything that I think that they should look at.
Right.
I'll tell them to have a look around because lots of times, and again, it would depend on the person, I guess. They don't want you following them around. They really don't. So you highlight like, oh, you have to see the master, or well, what's it called now? Principal? Or
Primary.
something.
Primary.
Right. You have to see that primary bedroom because it's just amazing, or highlight something, tell them to have a look around. I'm here to answer any questions, but I have been at open houses where there have been so many people, there's just no way, like you need to be able to greet people as they come through. But if you've got one person in an hour, then you could certainly every once in a while I'll say, okay, so do you have any questions?
Yeah. Yeah, oh, I always do, and if it's like different levels of the house, and I'm on the middle level, let's just say there's one up, one down, if it's a, side splits or what have you.
So my question just comes from a concern of theft. Because
Yeah,
when,
and I get that 100%, so
Yeah.
you gotta kind of view them and hope, and you also have to prepare your sellers, don't leave anything
Right.
out of, of value as much as you can. I mean, it should be all tucked away anyways, they're locked away, they shouldn't be leaving their jewelry out and things like that. And you kind of should know, you should almost have a visual, like if they're going in a hallway or something like that, and they're going to a bedroom. You can kind of feel, it should only take them about a minute in there, really. It doesn't take long. We know from showing homes on a daily taking what that timing kind of looks like. So if it looks like they've lingered too long, it's when you may walk up and you may say, is there anything I can help you with? I do agree with you though, Dennis, there is, definitely there's, we have to worry about theft as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of keeping a visual. The other thing I do, when I greet people, I have feature packages already done up. So in it is a cover page, the cut sheet, all the information, like even the property disclosure, if there's restrictive covenants, the floor plans, everything is all there at their hands. So that will somewhat eliminate questions. Or they'll still ask it. They hold it in their hand, they'll ask it, and I'll just take their thing, show to them and go through. And then usually when I do that, when I've asked a question or answered a question, I'll then also try and highlight something else. Did you notice this yet? Like, check out the whatever. let's say,
Right, yeah.
on. So yeah, you're just trying to,
I've never had an issue where anything has ever gone missing, ever.
I'll even knock on wood. 'Cause
Yeah.
once- Never.
I know. I hope I didn't just jinx myself.
Yeah, exactly, right? So.
Just a couple of things I noticed in the houses, some of the houses I've been showing and the open houses I've been doing is I would definitely walk through and say, you need to put that away. You need to put that away. I showed a house to a client last week and it was tenant occupied, not that it matters, but they had a MacBook sitting right out there on the counter and their passport sitting right there on the counter. And I even said to my clients, like my clients are international, like they're Canadian, but they're not from here. And I said, geez, like I was just raised differently with my parents made me very cautious with my passport. It goes in the safe. I'm like, that is very dangerous. The other thing that I would tell my sellers is put your toothbrushes away. Like, I know it sounds funny, but do you want, even when I have company coming over, I put my toothbrushes away, it's like, ugh.
Okay, you need to explain that.
The toothbrushes?
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, just, I don't know. It's a thing. It goes in your mouth. It's right there in the open. People are in there touching things, using the bathroom. You don't know if they're washing their hands.
Oh, okay.
The toothbrushes, like the one I did yesterday, the toothbrushes were out and I was like, I almost took the little container and stuck it under the cabinet myself. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's not bad, actually. I never really thought of that, but I always go around anyways, so I go early to the open house, and if I find there's still like some clutter. And things like that in the bathroom, I don't want to my bathroom, so they're all tucked. Someone leaves something in the sink that's going underneath the sink, and I try and remember.
I do the same thing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
so how early are you? Sorry,
What?
how early are you asking the owners to leave? Like if your open house is 1 to 3, are you getting there at 12 or like, I'm just wondering what's normal for time.
12:30, 1:45. I don't need about 15 minutes. It's nothing to set up when I'm in there. Click. And if my clients are really good, they may have all the lights on for me. But if not, then I just whoosh in, put all the lights on. I've set up my basket that I have. If I have a little, like if I'm doing like a little contest draw or whatever, I do a little cute thing on it. Put my cookies on the Play-Doh, things like that. It only takes a few minutes. Packages, usually my packages are there because I keep my feature packages on site all the time. And I also have a binder that has everything all pre-done, so they can also have an easy look through. I know we killed all that during COVID as well, because we didn't want anyone touching anything, but like, so it's an easy, so that's also, so I'll try and put that like on an island. So that if they want to come over and start looking at things like this, then we can have that conversation as well. It's a good way just to get that one-on-one connection with your client.
Okay.
Those are the kind of things I do anyways. Everyone's different, and it's great that we have people here that have been doing open houses and can share, especially Holly and Daniel, you guys and Sherry. You've done them, you've got the experience behind them. We're just talking about you being left with the baby.
Yeah.
Because in here to ask people to leave like something like for safety, leave the keys with them while they view the house.
I'm freaking out.
He was freaking out because the baby.
That's so funny.
They even left and went outside and left the baby, so.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny, one of the other people who were in it, the house at the time, she was equally as like WTF as I was.
Right.
And she started staying with me too. She's like, are we gonna have to call the police? Like, we thought they were gonna leave.
And leave him a baby when he had a baby.
Oh, wow.
Instant daddy Alex.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You,
Keep your big
I'm
head
not
first.
touching your parasite.
All right, so preparing the stats. So you want to know all the local information provided by the school district, you know, the employment information around there, like what kind of employment is there? They're probably not relocating if they're here, because they'd be on a house hunting tour, I would hope, with their agent instead of willy-nilly coming through open houses. Like I said, the recreation nearby and traffic and commute times, that's huge, especially if you're kind of getting out early. You want to be able to say, oh, you know, it's only 15-20 minute commute, blah, blah, blah. That's important. Like, you're trying to highlight every feature you can. So next, we're gonna cover what Dennis was talking about using the buddy system. So Dennis, that might be a good idea. Like, I don't know if you feel, do you feel unsafe in open houses?
I haven't done one. I just know that when I sold my place out west, we didn't do an open house, but we had showings and someone stole my Oakleys and they were tucked away. So I just look at it from that perspective. I mean, at the end of the day, all you can do is tell your sellers to put everything away that's valuable, put it all away and put it aside to mine.
Absolutely. So like I said, use the buddy system. Now, if you're using a buddy system and they're not a real estate agent, they need to be just smile and wave, and maybe they're the ones that's kind of, you may greet them and maybe they're the ones that are just helping you to make sure they sign in. Maybe they're the ones just showing them the feature, giving them a feature package, whereas maybe then the agent themselves can then kind of wander through a little more. But your buddy, if they're not a real estate agent or you know, licensed anything, they can't give any advice or anything. They can just basically be there, but it's a safety feature.
And you are allowed to bring somebody that is not licensed, because that would be great.
I can't see why not. You just have to make sure they're not saying,
Yeah.
you know, anything. Oh, they're not.
Duct tape
Yeah.
over their mouth, yeah,
I
right.
couldn't bring my mother because she'd just tell them everything, right? So be aware of who you're bringing.
So Angela, what you might, if that's of interest to you and you'd like to have a buddy system, something you could do is, you know, you may have already started with referral partners like, you know, lenders, lawyers, inspectors, things like that. Offer them an opportunity to come, because that helps them to highlight themselves as well, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a
So
good,
I'm gonna start utilizing that. I've never, it's been said, and I've just never utilized it or thought about it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start utilizing that more for my folks as well. It just, I think it's a good safety feature. To have someone here, they're bringing much more knowledge to the, you know, so we're not pretending to be mortgage lenders and all that good stuff. We let them do their job. I mean, you wouldn't want a ton of them in there, but you know, you rotate that out. And if you know you're gonna open house and you don't know how long it's gonna take to sell, you know, maybe 1 week it's the mortgage provider, maybe the next week, maybe you can get a lawyer, maybe you can get an inspector in there and use that as your marketing, you know, come on in, you know, and work that way, and might pull more people in too. If you have more of an interest as well as the home, you're providing another value to them. You know, arrive early, park on the street. The reason for parking on the street, you never want to get yourself locked into a driveway where you cannot escape.
Right.
That's why you want to make sure your summers where no one can block you in. You're checking all the entrances and exits, know where they are, especially at the end, make sure you've locked everything up. But yeah, you want to make sure you're okay in that house and what have you. Make sure the cell phone is fully charged, turn on all the lights and check your local COVID guidelines. That was in there. This was all written during COVID time. Follow your market center guidelines, checklists for open houses. Any ahas from this little segment?
I the checking outdoors thing speaks to me, because I did that once. I opened the side door as well. And then I was like losing track of people, what door they're coming in, what door they're coming
Yeah.
out. So it's just only the front door. It's only one unlocked, or
Yeah.
only one open. So they all have to come in those one point of entry.
Yeah, absolutely. You want them to, you want to be able to be them to be right in, you know, meeting you first. And being able to be somewhat of control of what's going on, who's there, what they look like. They don't know, and today everyone's got recording systems, it seems, so they don't know that they're not being videoed as well, so. Maybe it'll become better over time, you know, for safety wise.
I had a situation once in Kingswood there, so the backyard, so people got out of their car and went in the backyard and then came in the patio doors that were unlocked. And I was in another part of the house, like the living room area. And then I walked into the kitchen and there they were. I'm like, it startled me. And if you know me well, you know, I'll scream. And I did, because they startled me. And it was like, how did you get, like, well, I didn't say that, but it was like, how did you get in here? And it was two men, father and son, actually. Ended up being really nice people, but scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah.
So
and
I locked that door as soon as they left.
Yeah. And that's right. So, yeah, you've got to protect yourself first. And the other thing, you need to make sure that if people have left and you know there was other doors, maybe you do go take a peek and make sure it's relocked again, so you can keep control of that. Yeah, that's a big one. And having the number, the number, what's that number? They say, Alex, that you can call.
They just call the office.
The red file.
It's right, the slim file, SLM, it's MLS backwards. So
Oh, I thought it was the red file. Oh, God.
yeah, no, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was the red file as well. Okay, shoot. So it's called the what?
Maybe they changed it. It was
I don't know.
slim. It's MLS backwards. I'm sure red file would
Trigger it as
still
well.
trigger it as well, honestly. Yeah, so I'm just sure it's not okay. And always make sure, whether it's an open house or whether you're showing homes, always make sure you allow that client to walk in front of you, never behind you. That's huge. And whenever I'm bringing people, I know this kind of sidetracks off of open houses, but if I'm opening the door for clients to show them a house, I unlock, I step back to allow them to go in first. I never let them walk behind me. Let them in bedrooms first, whatever. Like, don't get yourself cornered anywhere at any time. So you always have to be alert. And yes, 99% of the people are going to be wonderful and safe, but it's that one. And you just gotta, you always have to do those practices. So you never forget them and start to get too comfortable.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've done, because I've had it happen a few times, especially with gentlemen, we're like, oh, no, by all means, you go first, because I think they're just being courteous. I'm like, I really appreciate that you're such a gentleman, but as a real estate agent, I want you to have the first impression look. And if I'm already in the room, you're not going to get the full impact of what you're seeing. So you go ahead, please, by all means, I'll hold the door. I'll make sure that you get the first chance to see how this house impacts you.
True, and that's a wonderful way to say, Jerry. That's excellent, actually. Yeah, no, it's just important, safety first at all times, no matter what, safety first. All right, so. So use a prepare, prospect, and pursue model to approach your open house. So. Prepare, prospect, and pursue. The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. And that's right. Most of the work for open houses is done before the day of the open house. Prepare your mindset. That's number one. Practice your conversations. Anyone knows me, I always say I'm not scripted. I can't, because I get nervous. If I have studied something to try and say it to somebody, forget it. I didn't prepare for this course. Or you can tell that. But I'm a talker anyways, and that's mainly what it's about. Once you can start feeling comfortable, it'll roll off you and it becomes repetitive, especially in an open house. You're probably going to repeat those same things over and over again, the highlights, the this, the that, so it becomes scripted no matter what. And the more you do, the better you become at it. But you'll learn your own script. Script always makes me cringe because I'm just I can't study like that. Like, I can't stick stuff in my brain like that. But if it's something I say because I truly believe it, that sticks for me, and I'm able to then use that moving forward in dialogue. But as long as you know your house that you're going to be trying to sell, that's where your dialogue will come from anyways. So this is what they're saying the week before your open house preparation. This is the things you should be doing. Monday is select the host you will be featuring that weekend. Tuesday, post online, walk the neighborhood, invite the neighbors to the showing. So you'll want to have little pamphlets set up. So I'd say on Monday, you're probably making up some pamphlets to walk around and say, hey, Wednesday, you're gonna post online again, install the yard sign. Normally it's just a rider on top of your post.
All right.
Thursday, post online again, invite the database. Let them know you're hosting an open house. You'll probably pick a certain one you want, obviously, you know, your buyer database or what have you. Friday, post online again, prepare the market statistics, print flyers and door knock. So for this, for me, print flyers, I would have them done on Monday if I'm gonna be checking out the neighborhood. Really, they're saying invite the neighbors there to the showing, but then at the bottom, they're also saying door knock. So you got a couple opportunities, but I see almost Tuesday and Friday are the same thing to me. And what the clients like to know, the community, neighborhood information, the relocation information, first time buyer specifics, mortgage information. So that's when you would bring in that mortgage lender or what have you. And for first time buyers, again, the inspectors, if you can pull those people in, they bring great value to you.
Or even if you got information to, like, say, for instance, you called your lender or whatever and said, I'm having an open house on Sunday. Can you send me like a 1-page little something that I can put with my information on new, first time homeowners or something like that? Or an inspector, the benefits of a pre-inspect or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
If you're not going to have them there, at least you can have that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tanya.
But to have it here, it's great just to have for that buddy system. Like
Yeah.
I said, I think I'm gonna push for more of that actually. Just for the safety aspect. And it'll be harder to get ones that aren't newbies. Because, people that are kind of have been using these guys in the business for a long time, chances are they don't want to go on a Sunday. So you want those new ones that are fresh blood trying to build their own client base as well. So you're looking for newer ones. So you're build the trust and the rapport, provide the value, capture information, qualify the leads. So that's the prospect of prospecting these people. Greet everyone that comes in the door, engage in conversation and be positive. And that's true. You're a walking business card for yourself. So, that's that first impression, no matter what, wherever you go all the time. You want to be friendly and you want to be welcoming and you want to be knowledgeable. And it can be hard because I'm going to tell you, thinking of this weekend, the busy open house, a lot of Karens came through. So that can be hard on you to stay positive. And I'm actually rather kind of glad I wasn't there. And I'm sure Jody's probably glad he wasn't there because he was a control thing. Yeah. Cameron was exhausted. There was a lot of people just picking, like, as if they were going through inspecting the home, like, oh, the chimney has some stuff out of it. And so Cameron's texting me saying, chimney's crumbling. I'm like, no, it needs some repointing. Like, that's what they're there for. If they want to offer on the house, so I get snippy in the background. She doesn't pull that off, thank God. But you get protective, like it's your kid, right? And people are going through ripping it apart. Like, what? That's not the idea of an open house. You don't like it, move on, get out. Don't waste our time. But it's true. I'm joking. You want people that are there that are serious, not just someone that wants to just be a jerk, but you find out the most nicest way to show them the door. Know your team stats as well. If you're on a team, what you can provide as a team moving forward for your buyers that are coming through. Market stats, of course, what's going on in the area that you're selling in. Understanding your personality types. That's DISC. We'll be probably going over that. I think there's a slide. And have something to offer the visitors. So like Holly says, she's got a candies for them, what have you. I do cookies. I have Lindt chocolates in a bowl. I have little mini bottles of water. Sometimes I even do like fruit trays up and stuff. Just kind of depends, right? If I'm in the mood or if I think it's gonna be, where it's getting sunny and spring's out, we're probably gonna get more people going in these open houses. So just a little something, I often bring bouquet of flowers or two and vases and things like that, just to spiff things up and make them look really good.
I just want to share, I do bring snacks, but I make sure that they're all packaged. So that people aren't putting you can tell I'm a bit of a germaphobe. Every comment I make is like, get your germs away from me. But it means that, you know, like I love the idea of a fresh fruit tray, of course, and then people are going to be lingering more because they're not going
Well,
to
you
be able to take it out the door with them.
I just have toothpicks for everything. So they
Right.
pick it.
But the other thing is because I did one last weekend and not one person showed up, and I door knocked and I advertised. And
Yeah.
so then because my treats are all prepackaged, they can just go back in my bag and I can use them at the next one because they don't, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
bad as
exactly.
quickly.
Chips for kids in case they come through and stuff like that. Just whatever you know you're putting out. You know, and depending on who takes it and walks through the house with it, you may have some mess to clean up afterwards. So you don't want anything that's gonna stain or anything like that.
That's why I always keep it till the end. I
Yeah.
always say, I will give this to you at the end when you fill out the feedback form. And always ask the parents if the kids can have it.
Yes, for sure, absolutely. And try not to have anything that's meat, peanut based or nut based.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants to be shoving a needle in anyone's leg that day. So capturing the information and qualifying the leads, have the sign-in sheet. You can use Command. Command actually has a thing, you can actually have your iPad set right up and they can sign right into it. By doing that, I believe that then you can send them out your app, the KW app or on their phone. Ask the question, do you want to get as much out of them as you can if it's not crazy busy? And that's why, you know, as it's coming up, I think they're gonna get busier. Just people being able to do something they haven't been allowed to do for the last few years, so. They're gonna get busier, you probably will want the buddy system. So that, you know, you can kind of engage more and really find out those ones, prospect the leads that don't have agents already, right? And remember, you're there to get leads and appointments, so. What I will say, this house may not be the right house for you, but I can find you the right house. I have, you know, the tools to set up a search for you. Those, you know, that meet your criteria will come right to your email. You just have to give me a text. We can get that set up and take you over showings. So you kind of make it feel like it's easy for them and still no pressure, just, you know, I can get this done for you. It'll just make your life easier by not having to be searching the web yourself for all these leads and see what's coming up. You're going to get notified as soon as it comes to the market. Follow up, convert your leads after open houses. So you update your database, whether it be in the sign up sheet, taking it, putting in your database, or whether it's through the command and then putting in the right tags for them. Follow up with all the attendees, reevaluate the goals you set. Did you succeed? What changes will you make for next time? So see what worked, see what didn't work. You know, maybe you felt like you could have done better in a conversation with someone. So, you know, make note to yourself, what would that look like different next time? All right, activities of planning and open house. Paper wise, I'm going off the cuff, guys, so. Good, I'm glad, thank you. So, okay, we're just recapping what went on here. Open house best practices, set the goals, pick the house, prepare and practice. Pick the time that it's gonna be best for that open house in that area. Prepare your stats and be safe is honestly number one. Your benefits is that they're inexpensive. It's a great prospecting tool. It's a high return of your income, I guess. Investment, thank you. I knew I was getting very rude. And qualify those leads, right? So you're pre-qualifying in the beginning when they walk through the door to find out whether they have the agent or not, whether they're first-time home buyers, just simple questions like that. And then from there, you know how to go after them to make them yours, and don't let them leave without them being yours. Let's see. Okay, so from what we've said so far, how has your thinking changed? What that ideas or mindsets were new? Dennis, have I changed your mind yet on open houses?
Not totally, but I think that's just gonna be doing will help with that, because I
Yeah,
have not done yet.
Yeah, honestly, I never liked them. Pre-COVID, once I felt like I had enough going on and I didn't need to go out there to try and do that, I didn't want to do them. And then COVID hit. But yeah, I really find a better benefit to them moving forward. I've changed my mindset on them. Used to think they were a waste of time, bugger off on my Sundays when I could be home or whatever, but. I think it's better, and especially getting back in after COVID, I think it's good just to start getting out there again and meeting people. I think everyone is just. Been so isolated that just getting, and maybe they get another feel, and we've had a bad rap for the last 3 years, honestly, through COVID of, we're just money hungry, grabbing people. So I think getting to meet the agents face to face, hopefully will change that for prospective buyers or clients, that, we're not all like that, that we actually do have a job and we love it and, bring value. What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful to you today? Okay,
Just, this has really brought up yesterday for me.
Yeah.
And I think like little details, like people do things subconsciously. So if I had, what I usually do is I set things up in the kitchen on the island. And
Right.
it's a beautiful spot for it yesterday, but I think that subconsciously people are gonna come in, they're gonna take their shoes off and they're gonna do the sign-in sheet. And I should have got that right in that front entrance.
that one big hit. So that means needing a table and so prep.
Should have,
Yeah, and that's okay. That's all right, but that's right, exactly. So you thought about it. And we'll tell Jody that's what he's bring a table for the sign of sheet.
Journal it, right? So if you journal what you did,
Absolutely,
take
what was
notes.
working, what didn't work, absolutely, yeah. Fine tune it, and everyone will be a little different, but once you get a good, like once you get into it, it's a lot easier and it's not as hard anymore once you've made that, and it's a better practice and it's easier because you're always meeting new people. But when you're in that real comfortable spot, because you get used to the home you're in or what have you, you feel comfortable, you feel like you're the one that's in control. It will make it easier to later on down the road, if you want a door knock, because now you're used to having that experience to talking to people for the very first time, cold leads, whatever you want to call them, and it becomes easier to then start talking to other people that way as well, right? So it's almost like a little safe spot to practice. How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take? Mr. Allen?
Right.
I actually really loved what you said about having like a referral partner come in with you. And I reached out to a girl who recently became a mortgage broker, and she's been very eager to grow her business. And I was messaging her and asked if that's something that she'd be into. And now she's like going crazy with excitement. So now I either find a house to list or to have an open house so I can treat her to that, because she's actually really hyper about it now.
And you just put yourself, here's Monday, right? So it's Monday, so get on the KW, our Facebook app and see wants an open house done for them this weekend.
How many of you are there? Who's got a house I can show this weekend?
Well, that's just it. Just reach out, see who's out there. There's always someone. I know Vicky's been letting people do her open houses every weekend. So it's just a matter of get on there, find one, and then get that all set up so that you can.
So I actually kind of did that with a mortgage broker. I got them to do like a cut sheet up of the house that I did an open house for and that I was selling. And they put like all the amortization, like 10 years, 25 years, 15 years, and they broke it down like how much the mortgage would be. And that kind of stuff if they were to get pre-approved, and how much they would need for down payment and all that kind of stuff. So I did that with like my brochure that I gave everyone who came to see the house for viewings as well, so that they could take that with them to show their mortgage broker, or if they didn't have a mortgage broker, they would have someone to contact.
Excellent.
That's a great
That's great.
idea. I like it.
No. Did your ours do that this weekend? Did he have something there for the juror house?
No.
And did he have it the week before? So, okay, so then there you go. We'd love to know who your lender is that did that. Jessica? You know, who was that did that?
His name's Daniel Cox, and he's with Mortgage Alliance on Copwood Road. Super great guy.
Because we had one from Mortgage Group.
yeah.
And he's been 2 weekends and didn't prepare anything. So there's a difference, right? So by talking, all right.
Yeah, that's great.
Value, because Jessica's lender is definitely bringing more value to the table, even for himself. What did he bring? He stood there to have a conversation instead of bringing and prepping something. So that will be expectation moving forward if he wants to get in our house. So, so what tools, models, or systems will you use? How will they make you accountable?
I really like so with the door knocking, I know not a lot of people are like really keen on that, but when I do open houses, I'll do an extra half an hour before where I'll do like a VIP open house just for the neighborhood. So that they kind of get first look before people from everywhere else, because I'm already there, right? So and then that gives me a reason to go and door knock and be like, hey, I have a VIP open house for the neighborhood for the first half an hour, like come by, come see it. If you have any family or friends that want to live next door or in the neighborhood. So I'm not kind of like there twice. And there's a
So-
reason to go door knocking.
Was that
True.
successful?
It was, yes. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
How many-
Yeah.
Gonna ask you, do you basically, so let's say your open house, let's just say it's 2 to 4, would you then be there and tell them to come 1:30 for that? So you're
Yeah.
not really.
1 or 1:30. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And of course, if you can, use the command to get everyone's names in, and that helps you
Yeah.
put them right.
And like a lot of people don't want to write their name in the guest book. But with COVID and stuff, I've been using COVID as kind of like, hey, I need your information in case I need to contact you for COVID exposure.
Yeah.
So then they all get their contact information.
I don't know what next year will be like, but I.
Right.
We'll be able to lean on it this year anyway, so come up with
Yeah.
something new for us.
Yeah.
That's good. One probably already.
Yeah, well, people are becoming rebellious to all of it, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, it's a cold, whatever, you know what I mean, like, that's the attitude, so they may not, but we haven't had anyone really, I mean, I know it's too busy for you this weekend, but overall, I don't think we've had anyone say no that I've seen. No, so it's been good. Success system, all right. So this is something you'd want to have. So that it's a guideline basically on, you know, you want to have 10 conversations. How many conversations did you have out of 10? So it's like the goal of what you're going to set yourself for that open house. So how many out of 10 conversations did you have? How many out of, if you goaled yourself for 10 contacts, how many did you really pick up? You can't do anything if they don't come in the door, right? Like, but you know, so unfortunately, and then what are you doing afterwards to, you know, it's great they say 10 handwritten notes, but chances are you're not getting their mailing address. So, you know, but you can write something up in an email. If they give you their email, just saying thank you for showing up, which is what you do. You follow up with an email. 10-5-1 social media engagement. I'm assuming the 10 means getting 10 social media engagements out there over 5 days and 1 a day. Is that how they normally break
Well,
it?
this is this is at the end of every session.
Oh, is it? Oh.
This is like your homework for the next session.
Okay, this is your homework. Thanks, Alex. I suppose if I was probably on the right page wherever that is here, I'd actually know, but. Okay, so this is your homework of this, of how that's gonna look moving forward. Do not call list. So, yeah.
I think what that was is,
Yes.
if I can remember 10, 5, and 1, I might be mistaken. I think the 10 is 10 conversations across 5 platforms.
Okay.
So, or what was the one I just had it? Is that what it is, Alex? I can't quite remember.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Just talk to people.
That's right.
Yeah, just talk.
Trying to do, trying to engage in conversation and, you know, and force yourself if you're not good at it. Like I've never been, like, this is, I don't like to stand up here.
I
You know,
think it's likes, comments, message, 10-5-1.
oh, yes, I think, yes. And it's, yeah. Yeah, liking things, loving
10
things,
like, yeah,
having
day,
conversations.
every day, 10 likes, 10 comments, and 1 like
That's
personal
right.
message.
That's right, that's right. Okay. Do not call list, so we get those sign up sheets and those phone numbers, we should be signed up with the office here for the do not call list. Make sure those numbers are not on there. If they are, they've also given you their email, and an email does not qualify with the do not call list, so you can email. And then you would ask permission to have a conversation with them, to use that phone number if you see that they're not on, that they are on that do not call list. But you do not want to be caught calling people and then they get mad at you. And if they report to you, it's a huge fine from what I'm hearing. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution. And people are happy to be in a relationship with me. What does that mean to anybody?
It means, to me anyway, when you're having a conversation with somebody, you're giving them some value, you're giving them some information. As opposed to, don't talk about me, talk about whatever the situation is, the house or whatever. So come from contribution, giving them some value.
Right.
Then
As well
they'll
as-
love you.
Yes, and also wanting to know about them, right? That's another big part of it, is wanting to know about them. Engaging with them, getting them to talk about themselves.
Right. And I find a lot of our fellow agents do talk a lot about themselves. And you know what, you can give a little hint of what you do and how successful you may be, but you know, people don't want to continually hear how good you are or how wonderful you think you are.
Yeah,
And-
you want to be relatable. So if they're talking with somebody,
Right.
see that situation myself, it's a relationship that you're building there, right? I can
Exactly.
understand.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand completely. I went through this process trying to buy a house last year and I lost on plenty of homes too. And look, I'm an agent. That's just how it goes because the market, but I sympathize and I understand what you went through. Blah, 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 things like that.
Right.
All right. Role play. Are we role playing?
Now, we've never done this throughout the whole thing, so.
Thank you. Prepare your conversation list, okay? Lead generation conversations. Update contacts, follow up, number one, follow up, and it. Jody just left the room, but Jody, I know we're recorded, so I'll be careful what I say, but. He comes from a sales background. And he has no problem with. Keep contacting. He said, until they tell you to basically buzz off. Keep trying. So if they don't answer you by email, they don't answer your phone, whatever it is, keep trying, because until they say, I do not want to hear from you, go away, you should keep going. I was just talking about your practice of.
Yep.
Keep
Keep
going,
going.
keep going. There's, what's the worst you're gonna say? The mean word buzz off? You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine, but until then, if you haven't told me now, and another thing, Cameron was having a problem, the people weren't responding to her. And it was a warm lead, like they definitely want to buy a house. And they weren't responding. And finally, she was going through text, they weren't responding. So I said, get a phone. So finally, she did call you back. Right?
Yeah, immediately.
And that's how exactly she was like, I'm so sorry. My husband's supposed to be taking care of this. He's dropping the ball. So we're gonna have to wait until a little bit later when I have more time to focus because he just can't. But she was thinking it's me. But she kept going until they finally responded and then gave her the answer. So she's not thinking they didn't like her.
And they fully said, we want to work with you,
Yeah.
we just can't do it
Yep.
right now.
So just because you bug does not mean, it just means they're going through something right now, but you're letting them know you're still there and ready and willing and waiting for them to respond to help them. Celebrate successes. This one, okay, I'm not sure whether you throw this up here.
It's over.
Is this over? Oh my God. All right, your next session is capture leads with social media tomorrow with Jessica. I know this because I had printed that one off and thought that was the one I was going to be doing.
You mean Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, sorry, Wednesday. Yep, sorry, Colleen. Keeping you on your toes here.
That's my job today, Maureen.
Keep it you on your toes or you can just be all over the place. All right, thank you so much for joining. I hope you got something good out of it. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me for any kind of